She left a job to run a non-profit organization with an objective of changing the way the society looks at a non-profit venture for community growth, awareness related to various issues. Her biggest achievement was not any award or recognition, but an opportunity to know how different minds think, analyze, and work. Her future goals lies in making people aware of the planet they are living in and how they all can change their selfish perspective and work together for a greener planet. Let's chat with someone who is popularly known as Water Warrior and a doctor turned environmentalist, Dr. Aarati Bhandare. And today we are going to cover a topic on sustainable parenting, which is Catch Them Young. This is the Guiding Voice podcast series, the Guiding Voice for a Better Future. Friends, I am your host Naveen Samala, a fellow professional on a mission to make the world a better place to live. And through the Guiding Voice, we drive conversations that matter, conversations that add value to your life and to your career. Thank you so much for tuning in. And Dr. Aarati, hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice. And in fact, we have done an episode in Hindi and I've been waiting for this to happen. And it's a pleasure to have you again part of the platform. So hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice.
Thank you very much. Feelings mutual.
Let's get the ball rolling, Aarti. And
Yes.
Since you have embarked on this social entrepreneurship journey, which is not easy. And as I was telling before we started our conversation, not many people are keen into getting into the social entrepreneurship because of so many hardships and various other factors. So I would like to hear from you the toughest lessons that you have learned in your social entrepreneurship journey.
So being a rocket scientist is very easy, I must say. I don't want to offend any scientists of our country, but being a rocket scientist is really easy. But getting into a space, I wouldn't say profession, getting into a space where human beings are so selfish. The most selfish species on earth are the human beings. And that includes me. I'm not saying I'm any different from them. But everyone is simply bothered about themselves and people around or their immediate, say their parents, their family, or their wife, husband, whatever. And money is valued more than anything in this world. So if people are given, I have learned this, that I have seen people keeping money in their place of worship. So talent, skill sets is of no use in this country, or not in this country, I would say everywhere. And if you have people who are supporting you, you are really lucky. This is the toughest lesson I have learned, more than rainwater harvesting, composting. That hasn't been tough at all. But knowing that you are doing such a great work, but people not supporting you and saying that "Aap apna dekho, main apna dekho," that is the biggest thing. And the lesson is always do everything alone. And that has really helped me a lot. Because once you shed off expectations from people, you become lighter, you can run faster, you can work faster. This is my trade secret.
Yeah. Unfortunately, for these kind of things, I think it requires a lot more awareness than we are currently. But at least the centennials and the so-called Gen Alpha are changing and they are focusing on it, right? So let's hope for a positive world. And I would strongly urge all the listeners as well as the viewers of this episode, please do connect with Dr. Aarati and join the hands, because we have to save the planet for future generations and she's doing her bit. So definitely any additions would be of great value add, and it will create a huge impact. And on that note, let's move to the core of today's topic, Dr. Aarati. So you proposed this interesting topic, catch them young, right? So how do you define the term catch them young, and what are some key principles or strategies that underlie this approach?
So it was something that I read on one of our environmentalists. I don't really remember her name. I was reading something long back, and that is when I came across that word, catch them young. It was in a totally different context, but I thought, yeah, this really works. For example, if a lady of my age, say 40 years, comes and tells you, Mr. Naveen, please don't wash your car with the pipe hose. Use a bucket. You might or might not listen to me. You might give it a thought or say, okay, let me see. There are a lot of probabilities that, I can expect as a reaction. But if your son or your daughter comes and tells you, put off the tap, don't waste water, you'll be proud of your children that they are thinking. So see, me going and telling people to do something, it will never work. But when I realized, when the kids went and told the parents, at least they did not abuse their children. I got abused at multiple times in multiple languages. But when their own child goes and tells them, so I thought this is a great way of the children being a medium of giving some sense to their parents. It's like, a CD. You get a CD. Nowadays, the CD and floppy ka zamana to gaya. But if you get a pen drive, which is empty, and you want to write something on it, it is easier when it is not full. It is easier when the CD is empty. You are writing information on it. But if you have a CD which already has a lot of thing in it, there is enough, there is very less space, and then you try to feed something into it, there are chances that there might be some issue. So kids, I believe, they have brains which are like sponge, and it is completely empty. So when you want to feed something into it, when you want them to absorb something, you give them the right thing to absorb. Do not get them into a world of exuberance where you tell them that, see, planet Earth has a lot of infinite resources. Use them, waste them, exploit them. I think these three words, use, waste, and exploit, shouldn't be in the Oxford Dictionary, because nothing should be wasted and nothing should be exploited. Yeah, you can use things, but you do not exploit the things. So the principle is, there is no hard sentence, or there is no hard, what do you say, definition for it. I just realized that God has sent them for a purpose, to make the adults understand what these kids can teach them, what the adults cannot understand. I'm doing this work from 8 years, but I'm not able to convince any parent without going through their child. So when I have programs, they ask me, why don't you target clubs, the Rotary clubs or the bigger clubs? You can all get money also. When I go to schools, I don't get anything. But the child goes and tells the parents, see, there's one lady who had come and she said, if you do this, you're a good boy, so I have to do it. If I do this, I will get a reward. Ultimately, the entire family starts to follow him or her.
Yeah.
So this is the reason I started targeting. And on a lighter note, they don't abuse, children. Their principal is sitting behind their teachers, so they maintain their, decency. But I have seen in clubs people literally abusing me and telling me to go and all that stuff. So kids don't do that. So actually, this is the hidden agenda, that I don't have to get lot of negative response. That's why I say catch them young. This is the right time. So if your child or a daughter or son wants to learn Spanish or French, if she's planning to study outside India, will you start teaching them the language after they get admission in the college, or will you start teaching them right from the beginning?
Right from the beginning.
Yes. So that is what I'm trying to do. So once they know that water should not be wasted, even if they are sitting beside a flowing river, they will not waste water. Yeah. That is my dream.
Yeah, I'm sure your dreams will be fulfilled. And also, I'm curious to understand, how many sessions have you driven in the schools, and what kind of messages do you spread other than water? Do you also curate different topics for different set of schools, or how do you approach it?
So I started basically with water. So my first session was somewhere in the year 2015, September 13th, if I'm not wrong. I remember it because we had just gone to the school to ask them permission to talk to the kids. And they ended up telling me that you have half an hour, prepare, and you walk up on the stage. And I was a very, very introvert. I am still an introvert. So people go on my outer appearance, say that, no, you can't be an introvert. I used to faint on stage when I used to give my viva, or whenever I had to speak something on stage. I have never been someone who walks out and just speaks. So when she said, you have half an hour, and I said, no, ma'am, give me tomorrow's day so that tomorrow I can prepare well. She said, no, if you have it, you take it now. So it was like, take it or leave it. Like, beggars cannot be choosers. And for 5 seconds, I thought, bahut bhav kha rahe ye log, let me just go. But then I realized this is an opportunity, and nobody is going to give you a red carpet welcome and throw flowers at you saying that please come and talk. No, I have to use it. So I had my phone, and that time, this Google and all was not that updated like how it was now. I just wrote all those things on a piece of paper that I used to do at home. And I went up on the stage and I started with moral science. I left science aside. I left water aside, and I started with moral science. So I asked them, how many of you all have seen God? And I think God only gave me this idea. I did not write it. I said, how many of you have seen God? There were 270 odd students. They all said, no, we haven't seen God. I said, whom do you all pray to? So there is an idol or there is a photo and we pray. So who told you all to pray? Our parents taught us to pray. Okay. But you all still haven't seen. So how many of you all believe that there is God? So everyone was, very hesitantly raising their hand. They were not very sure. I said, if given a chance from tomorrow to pray to God, to continue praying to God or stop praying to God, what will you do? What do our parents tell us? So basically, you have not seen God. Okay, established. So none of them have seen God. Have you seen God's creation? They said, yes, definitely. What have you seen? We've seen the rivers, we've seen the sun, we've seen planets, we've seen ourselves. Only a master creator can, make somebody like us. It can be God's work. So you know that God's creation. So can you see God's creation? Yes, we can see God's creation. How do you treat God whom you cannot see? And how do you treat God's creation which you can see? And that question, hit them really hard. So you said that river is God's creation, a sea is God's creation. You go and put plastic in the sea. You waste water. You go to the temple, you take prasad, you take tirth so nicely, respectfully, but you are wasting the same water. That is how I started. And that's when they got the connection. So aise karte, I think one teacher would have told the other teacher that she's really good, and main thing, she doesn't charge any money. That is a prime factor, free of cost. So that free of cost lecture came at the cost of my time, came at the cost of my night's sleep, came at the cost of my personal work. I decided just let it go, and I did. And by the end of 2019, before I could have my NGO registered, I had crossed around 500 plus programs. Wow. Not only in the field of water conservation, but then I realized that everything is related to water. So you just had a sip of water because you have felt that in the throat. If I have to wash my hands, I'll still go to water. When I go to a doctor, he will give me saline, which still has water. When I go to the beach, it's water. If I have to make a piece of fabric or clothing, this material comes from cotton. To grow cotton, you need water. So you tell me one thing which is water is not part of. Everything, our body is 70% water. Yeah. So I realized that everything is connected to water. And I realized one thing, you can't tell people do this or do this. You have to give them 100 options. So when a lady goes to a sari shop, you show her 10 saris. You can't say these are 2 saris. Even if they are the best 2 saris, she will still need options. That's not the case with me though. I just select the first one that I see and I pick up. I don't waste time in things which are not productive. But this is the mentality of people. So I gave students option. You can't save water, fine. Do rainwater harvesting. You can't do rainwater harvesting, fine. You water the plants early in the morning with a bucket and mug. Okay, you can't do that. Don't use a shower, have a bucket and mud bath. So I gave them many options. Then I told them, y'all cannot do anything. Give your waste, convert it into compost. Put that compost with the plants. Water will be saved. Moisture will be preserved. You cannot do that. Go for electronic waste recycling. Collect all the electronic waste. Give it for recycling. You can't do that. Stop using plastic. So many options, and then out of 100 options, you'll follow at least one. It's like a buffet breakfast, buffet meal or buffet dinner. They will choose at least one thing. Nobody will go with an empty plate. They will definitely choose one thing. And that is how I went on doing. And after 600, I lost count of how many programs I have done. It's not to brag, but I stopped even keeping track of, because my motive was not to tell people I have done so many programs. No. I see people naming, I have done program 6, program 7, I have done this year. I have no track of where all I have gone. Like last month, I went to Kasal in Maharashtra. There were 200 kids. I just heard 200 kids. That's it. It was a 6-hour journey, 3 hours to go and 3 hours to come, which I did in one day. But that is how mad I am, because children always listen. And there are many options to save the planet. It is just not about closing the tap when you're brushing your teeth. Yeah. So now that you have driven over 600 sessions, and are there any success stories that you would like to share? The kind of impact that you have created when running this Catch Them Young initiative? Yes. So the good news is that, or the bad news is that, when I started first, nobody would, you have to hammer it again and again. Just once you tell them, people wouldn't listen. But yeah, in 2020, during the COVID wave, I went to some schools. The schools were obviously closed because of COVID, but they had online programs. So in Pune, there was a school who approached me and they said, we want you to give a hands-on demonstration. So I said, okay. Through Zoom meetings or through Google Meet, I think Meet or Teams, some platform, I actually showed them how to do it. They did it along with me. And the principal announced that this you will have to do in your science project. So every assessment exams, they have projects. So this time, instead of cutting something, pasting something, drawing something, painting something, you have to do composting. You are given 60 days time. You start composting. At the end of 60 days, you show me the ready compost. I had assessed the compost. All the students had got 10 out of 10 marks, not because their compost was good, because they tried. And then they will not see, once you start composting, you will not quit.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the biggest success story. It started in Pune and then I applied it to all the schools in Belgaum. Around 10 to 15 schools adopted that. I had to go to the schools and check how they're doing it, which was still okay. But I believe that every program that I have done is a success story only. See, imagine some school giving me 20 minutes time. It is success. Do you get to meet the principals of schools just without anything? No. But they're telling me that, yes, please come. We are giving you 20 minutes. You come and speak. That itself was success. However badly I was treated, I don't keep that in mind. But I got a chance to speak to multiple students, more than 200 students at a time. That's a success story. And now it is, earlier I used to call the schools and tell them, please call me to your schools. And now I'm not bragging, but this has, the tables have turned. And now teachers, principals call me and I tell them that, I don't have time. Just let me think and get back to you. So this is the biggest success story that I can tell you. That earlier it was one-way call. Now I have missed calls on my phone and I have to call them back and tell them that just wait, I will get back on this. But I do complete all the programs. I never say no to anything.
Good one. So push factor is turned into a pull factor now because of your work. That's excellent. Now let's move forward. And in order to promote these Catch Them Young initiatives, like how can schools, parents, and community organizations work together so that we can create a culture of empowerment and growth right from the young age? If I tell you that school is a major factor in doing this, it should not come as a surprise to you because most of our time we spend in schools. Just 2 months in a year, we have holidays. Otherwise, major portion 8, 9, 10 hours, we are in school. And when we were in school, automatically we led a sustainable life. We used to carry our own water bottles and dabba. There was no concept of Zomato and Swiggy. There was no concept of canteen mess or hostel food or whatever. We had to carry our own food. See, the biggest problem I see in schools today is that even if it's not a residential school, even if it's a local school, they have their own canteen, they have their own mess. They ask all the students to eat in the mess. Why they do it, I have no idea. It could be for more income, or they claim that we give balanced food to all the students and that is why we want them to eat in the mess. You tell me, a mother, she can be a dietitian, she can be the best dietitian in the world. She can give you all the balanced food. A mother knows what best food her child can take. What happens in the mess is that there is no control over how much food is wasted. There is no control. See, and to control so much crowd. So let me tell you the story. There is one lady from France who's a page follower of mine. So she's a teacher. I don't know her. We have just met on Instagram. So she's a teacher. And she was telling me that every day in the mess, they used to serve them fresh juice or water in plastic glass. And she came across a post where we said, carry your own bottles. And now every student in the class has to carry a water bottle. So schools can make such a change. First thing is that to control the crowd, they will not use reusables. They will use plastic. Why don't you ask the children to get food in their own dabba? And another school in Belgaum has told all their children, no getting plastic tiffins, no getting plastic water bottles. However good quality of the plastic it is, you're supposed to get it in reusable steel only. Schools can play the major role actually. Schools, and this is the first thing. Second thing, I have seen all the schools telling their kids to make projects. Projects may, they say, print out nikalo. Take some page, cut it, stick it, paste it. And the teachers don't have time to reach every child's project also. They just throw it. Instead, why don't you all have live projects? Like plant a sapling, see how it grows, see how well you have nurtured the sapling, give them marks based on that. Do composting, waste management, segregate your wet waste and dry waste, something of that sort. But the schools are running with the same thought process that ran 10, 15 years ago. Cut karo, paste karo, stick karo. Okay. Then schools have these competitions. I have seen fashion show. I'm not against dance, singing, fashion show. But the kind of the things that are kept as competitions are really weird. I don't know what they learn out of it. Instead, have debates on sustainable lifestyle.
have debates on chemical living, natural living, have debates or have competitions on the types of cows that you see in India, the biodiversity of your country, the native seeds. See, I had a program the other day where I asked a question to the students, which are the native plants of India? They could not answer. I was invited to do the interview of 10 standard students running for best boy and best girl. They could not answer native plants of India. They could not identify jamun. They could not identify amla. They could not identify our natives. So, what are you teaching students? Why can't schools have? Now, there is a school in, I think, Hyderabad. I don't know, Eat Your Own Garden or something. So kids have a garden. They have to sow the seeds. They have to remove the fruits. They have to harvest vegetables, and they have to eat that same thing. Otherwise, you don't get food for the day. Why can't every school have this thing? Why should you depend on just calling motivational speakers or just having some competitions and Mother's Day, Father's Day, Grandparents' Day? Don't you think environment also is she's Mother Nature? What else above her? I feel. So schools have to be given a makeover, like how, in the film industry, they give a makeover to a person. Suddenly, even 100 kgs weight person after makeover or after working on himself becomes like lean and slim and thin.
Right.
I think that has to be done in schools. A makeover is needed. And I've approached many schools asking them to have me on, advisory board at least. But they just tell me, come, sign and go. You don't have to give your valuable inputs here. Sad story.
Yeah, that's the sad story. And in case if you are doing it as one of initiative, probably sustainability won't come into picture, right? Because we have to repeatedly do this in order to instill in the DNA of the kids.
Yes.
But I appreciate all the work that you are doing, at least because someone should come forward and take charge. And good to see the progress, and at least awareness is getting spread. And on that note, let's now talk about the role of the parents in the sustainable living, and also especially catch them young, right? What do you think, or how do you think parents can influence the children on that part?
Parenthood itself is very overwhelming. And mothers especially go through prepartum depression, go through postpartum depression. They have a lot in hand to manage. So I will not blame any mothers here. And this is not gender bias or something. I won't blame the fathers as well. Because there's a lot of unseen responsibility of giving birth to a baby and then taking care of the child. And us par you tell them that sustainably parenting karo, they'll say bhaad mein jao. Because there's so much happening already. They will say, why are you telling us? But despite being in that overwhelming situation, you can do few things, small things, which can impact the planet in a very great way. So I have a friend by name Amar in Pune. He is into an MNC and he is doing really well. He has a big house in the major locations of Pune. He is very rich. Despite that, he still uses hand downs for his child. And I was very shocked when he said, this kurta that my son is wearing has been thrifted. It is pre-loved. It is second hand. And all the other friends in the group were like, seriously, but you can afford new. He said there are already so many clothes lying around. There are less people to wear it. Why can't I reuse it? So the thing I want to clear the confusion here is when you wear pre-loved clothes, second-hand clothes or thrifted clothes, it's not because you don't have money. My kurta is also pre-loved. It is thrifted. It has been borrowed. That doesn't mean I don't have money. I definitely have money. But here, natural resources are declining at a very fast rate. You save the natural resources and plus you save money also. Isn't it a win-win situation? Absolutely. But what comes in between is your ego. Why should I wear clothes which somebody has already used? I have money. Most things, you come to think of it, most things that people do is not because they like to do it. It's because they want people to see that they are doing it. That brings them happiness. So I went to which branded store? I went to H&M. I went to this place. I got this clothes for my. So they want people to know that I can afford this. But I tell them that do things that make you happy.
Yeah.
When my son, in 2010, my son was born. I was not a sustainable creature back then. But I remember all his clothes were borrowed by, I got it from his cousin brother. So there was no shame. Literally, even the bottoms, everything was borrowed until he was like 3.5. Even after that, we borrowed clothes from him. Later, when he started to realize that, why are we getting borrowed? So see, even children get influenced by their parents. When his father started telling me, when my husband started telling me that I can afford to get H&M for him, why are you using? So my son also started telling me, why are we getting this? Dukanat is new shop. Let us get a new. This is totally wrong, because you don't realize we are wasting so much resources. We may be wasting money also, but we are saving. We are not. So I think parents now, and back in 2010, there was not so much destruction. Now, if you see, landfills are filled with fabrics because people use the cloth piece once and then throw it. So I think they should make their children understand parenting can be as sustainable as possible. Do you know that those plastic bottles, milk bottles, which contain polycarbonate, earlier they contain polycarbonate. It's a type of plastic which, when reacts with hot fluid, releases or leaches chemicals. And the same bottled water, milk, you're giving your child to drink. Usme you'll put garam doodh and you'll give that. Whichever quality plastic, it is bad for your child. Why don't you all simply take I don't know if you must have also seen this when you were very young. When we were very young, our parents used to get chandi, silver bowl and silver spoon to feed us.
True.
Right? However small it was, but they used to feed it and we used to laugh at them. I used to laugh at my parents that you all did all these silly things. Now I understand why. Eating in gold, eating in copper, eating in silver is beneficial for us. But what parents do nowadays, they buy plastic. So I think you start to think consciously what is good for your child. Please don't go overboard. Giving them the best things in life doesn't mean that you're a good parent. You give them time, you give them sustainable things. Like I'm giving my child all secondhand stuff, including books, even covers. I saved it from the last year and I use those covers. I don't buy new things all the time. So parenting sustainably, I don't need to tell you all anything. Just be mindful. If the thing is really needed by your child, only then you give it. Don't have to show people, like birthday parties. A first birthday party, 1-year-old child does not know anything about what is happening around him. He's simply crying, and we arrange birthday parties and people are literally enjoying, but the child is crying. So whatever you do, I think do it mindfully. That is only my advice, because I'm not a great advisor to anyone.
No, you are living the values. As you said, you have had your kid wear the used clothes, right? And I'll also share a couple of examples. I normally don't throw away my old clothes. Either I give it to my friends or I give it to my maids or somebody. And similarly, my younger daughter, I don't feel shy. She has worn all my elder daughter's dresses and also her cousin's dresses, and we don't feel bad about it. As you rightly said, it's all about bringing that small change, right? It's not about our prestige issue or affordability. As long as we are doing our bit in terms of
So you tell me, how is cutting a home baked cake different from getting a cake from outside? How is it different from sitting with your family members or having a balloon decoration just to show people and then capture those in videos and then see it later? Instead, I feel live the moment. Don't have any plastics around you. Have something which is reusable and you feel nice about it. Instead of just throwing a party to show people that we had a birthday party in an AC hall, and they take pride in it. Why? Why? After telling so much about balloons, after showing people pictures about how animals die because of using balloons, still some people, they use balloons because I should not see it. They block me on WhatsApp, the status, because I shouldn't see it. But they tell me that we follow you. But then I told them, I have 3 numbers and I have seen your status. You all have still used balloons. They blocked me completely. Now they don't talk to me. Please don't run after things which are shining. All that glitters is not gold. Instead, these values. So now my son, इतना आदत हो चुका है कि you give him a plate full, even if the food is not tasty, he's not allowed to waste it, and whatever happens, he will not waste it. He will cry, he will make faces, but he will finish the entire food. Because I have told him, you eat it, if you like it, take it. Nobody else is going to finish your plate. You must have seen parents telling their children, you don't like it, throw it. It takes 300 ml of water to produce 1 grain of rice. 300 ml of water, for which people are crying nowadays for that water. And you're just telling your child, don't like it, throw it. I think mindful parenting is the need of the hour. And I'm not the person to tell them. The mother herself should know because she has given birth to that child. The father himself should know. So
it reminds me. Yeah, it reminds me of my childhood days also. Like, in fact, my parents have raised us so well. Like, they didn't allow us to waste even a single grain of food. And same practices we are cascading to our younger generation as well, to our kids. So this has to be followed. Because as you said, like, for producing one grain, if it takes 300 ml of water, what about a morsel? What about a plate full of rice, right? So it is humongous. All right. So now let's do a quick rapid fire. Before I actually figure out the informal rapid fire, we'll do a quick rapid fire to highlight the sustainable practices. Because a while ago you mentioned about the silver bowl to feed food, and similarly carrying tiffin boxes and using those kind of steel utensils, right? So likewise, let us find some alternatives to the everyday objects, right? So we'll start with diapers.
Yes. So if you heard of super bottoms, they have reusable cotton diapers, just like how women have reusable sanitary pads. It is very convenient, just that you will need a little water to clean it, but more water is needed to produce a disposable diaper. So you're still a win-win situation. You can go for reusable cotton diapers.
How about an alternative for a cloth?
You can go for thrifted or pre-loved.
Okay, true. And then paper?
Yeah. So people use paper napkins and say that paper comes from tree, it is sustainable. How can paper be sustainable when you're actually cutting a tree? You're killing a tree and making paper out of it. So you can go for cotton handkerchiefs. They are made from fabric scraps. So many people run small businesses where they make reusable cloths or cotton handkerchiefs.
Yeah. In fact, I also use handkerchiefs, and I try to spread the message to as many people as possible. And this has come from one of our friends as a gift way back 10 years ago. And off late, after that, I started buying my own kerchief, because before getting into corporate, everybody used kerchief. But once you get into corporate, by looking at people around you, you get used to these paper napkins, and you think, okay, you are not culturally fit if you are following the old school method, but that is not old school method. We are doing our bit to the mother nature.
Yes.
And
so
how about?
I have things which you can actually substitute. Okay, so plastic brush, you can go for a bamboo brush.
Okay.
While when the kid is very small, you have to just rub it, brush it, clean his oral cavity with your hands. Also with the finger is fine. Nowadays, lot of soap and shampoos people use. I don't want to take the name of any brands, but they have been proved to be carcinogens. The products that are used in these baby powders are not good for the child. So instead, I remember when my son was small, we have used besan, chickpea powder, we have used dal powder, and we have used egg white. People who are vegans don't need to use that also. Even this besan and the cream over the milk has to be mixed and rubbed on their body. That is it. And nothing else was used. They didn't use any powders or different soaps or shampoos, nothing at all. And even if you want to use, there are very many people who make this naturally. Using the best of the natural products, you can use that for your baby, which come out less expensive also. Then packaged food like Cerelac and all that stuff, instead of that, please go for homemade, non-processed baby food. Even there are people who deal in this. So fox nuts or makhanas, I don't know, people have heard dry fruits. They make this sattu or whatever they call it, sattu powder. It is so nutritious for the baby, and they mix it in milk or water and they feed the baby, ragi malt and all of that. I don't know why people still want Cerelac, Farex baby and all that. See, I'm not a Cerelac or Farex baby, but I'm pretty strong. And my son is also not. We have never given him any kind of that processed food. So processed foods can be shifted to natural homemade food. Toys, books, you can please go to second hand. There are many people who deal in second hand toys, reusable toys. You don't have to go to a market each time and buy a plastic toy. Finally, it is plastic only. And for how long are your kids going to play with it? However, best toy you give, the kid will be playing with chamcha, vati only and plate only, if you have noticed it. Okay? Get your child on the ground. Put him in the garden. Let him, feel the sun rays on him. Let him know what soil is. Let him know what grass is. Instead of keeping him all the time in the crib and giving him all those plastic toys, you can substitute that. I have made a habit for my son to participate in a place where he can exchange books. So you can read as many books that you want. You don't have to buy a new book all the time. Or best is Kindle.
Yeah.
You can download as many books as you want, or you can read books online. Okay. Then fancy clothing. Please don't fall for these traps by this big. Again, I'm saying about talking about H&M or this big
Brands.
companies say, yeah, brands. Your child will look like Shah Rukh Khan, Salman Khan. No, it is all bullshit. A child looks very beautiful as it is. You don't have to, buy all that stuff. Go for thrifted and pre-loved clothes. Make a habit to borrow clothes from people. Get into groups where you have second-hand exchange of clothes. You can do that also.
Yeah.
We are short of,
Yeah.
we are short of time, is it?
Yes. So we will, Aarti,
Okay.
this is eye-opening conversation, and there are so many alternatives. Just that we have to start looking at things differently, because we should not get into a situation where we are forced to find alternatives. But if we can be proactive in terms of finding alternatives, it would be amazing. So, are there any other
Yes.
items on the list?
There are so many. So, plastic birthday decor, you don't have to use. You can go for cloth buntings, which are made from recyclable fabric. You can use natural flowers. You can use reusable decor. There is no need of using candles. There is no alternative to candles, because don't use candles. It's
Yeah.
a birthday party. You don't need to blow something. It's a very negative thing to do. So don't
Yeah.
use candles. Use a butter knife, or you use a regular knife. Don't use a plastic knife to cut your cake. You can ask the attendees not to get gifts, or even if they get gift, ask them to wrap them in a newspaper, or just don't wrap them, or just don't give a gift, or even you don't give return gifts. Okay, so there you're saving a lot of natural resources. Never go for disposable cutlery, because you have a lot of people. You can approach steel banks. You can get steel plates for them, wash it and give it back. They come at a very nominal price. Do not get packaged drinking water. Mineral water has no minerals. I'm really sorry if I have broken the myth, but mineral water really does not have minerals. Our home water has more minerals than. Then nowadays people give those play dough. It is all chemicals. Don't play with that dough. Instead, play with soil. So
Yeah.
this is a very healthy alternative. There are people who have a habit of collecting coins and collecting stamps. Along with that, you start collecting seeds also. So there is one Padma Shri awardee Rahibai Popre, who won the Padma Shri last year, prestigious Padma Shri last year. And the only thing that she did was she has collected non-genetically modified seeds and given it to all the farmers. And because of that, she's developed a very fertile land where people are eating food because of her. And the small thing that she did was she has collected seeds all her life. So such a small change can make such a big impact. Don't get your kids to do big things like coding and punching a password, and my son knows this, my son knows that, my son knows to ride a bicycle, my son knows this. Does your son know to live sustainably? That is the question. So these are the many alternatives that you can, from a child's perspective, from a child's point of view.
Absolutely. Great list of ideas. And I think it is time for us to think through and adapt those sustainable practices in order to have the life of Earth, or extend the life of Earth, and make it comfortable for future generations to come. And on that note, for those of you who have heard about this Padma Shri award for the first time for the global, in the interest of the global audience, Padma Shri is one of the highest, fourth highest civilian awards given by the government of India. Okay, to those who are making a difference. Likewise, after that, there is Padma Bhushan and then Padma Vibhushan, and the highest civilian award is Bharat Ratna. Just for your information. And thank you for sharing such a wonderful set of alternatives, Dr. Aarti. Now let's move forward. And so far, we have been talking a lot about the environment, sustainability, and we have been dealing with serious stuff. Let's add some spice to the episode so that our audience will also get a chance to know personal side of Aarti. Give me an opportunity to get to know the other side of you. So is the case with our audience as well. Let's kick off a quick rapid fire round. Are you okay with it?
Yeah, perfect.
Let's get started. So, if you could have one gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say?
It would say we cannot live on Mars yet. So
Okay.
try saving your planet that you're living in.
Okay, awesome. Can you describe yourself in just one word?
Real.
Real. Awesome. And what is the most important lesson you have learned from a mentor or a role model?
See, I follow a lot of spiritual leaders. I would not want to name anyone because I don't know if people really follow them. It's my belief I follow them. So during one of the sessions, the Guruji said, "Jo prapt hai, wahi paryapt hai," and it hit me really hard. And even when I say it now, I don't know if you can see, but I get goosebumps. Means whatever you have right now is sufficient.
Yeah.
You desire for more, but don't desire those materialistic things. So someone in the audience was asking Guruji for something, and he said, whatever you have right now, it's sufficient for you to live your life. Don't become so hungry or thirsty for things. So he just said that one line, Jo prapt hai, wahi paryapt hai. What you have is sufficient. And I really believe what we have is sufficient in terms of materialistic desires. So that reduces my need to want for more or buy more automatically.
Yeah. And what is the most adventurous thing that you have ever done?
Adventurous thing, as in my workspace you're talking about, or
Anything.
otherwise also?
Otherwise also.
Adventurous thing, no, I'm not quite an adventurous person, but yeah, I went what is that, for skydiving and all that things, and halfway I came back because I realized that the planet is too beautiful to leave it too soon.
Good one. And what is the weirdest thing that you have ever eaten?
So I was having a deficiency of vitamin B12, and somebody told me eat fermented soya beans and it will improve your B12 in 15 days. So I ate tempeh. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yes.
And whatever B12 I had in my body, that also came out because I vomited so much. So tempeh, I don't know if listeners, if you like it, please eat it. But that was the weirdest thing I have ever eaten.
Okay. And with that, let me fire the last bullet out of rapid fire. What is one electronic gadget or a fantasy gadget that you would like to see or invent yourself? Actually,
I would like to de-invent all the gadgets which are there, because I think because of gadgets and technology only, our brain has actually stopped working. So we have too many of them already. So I will not like to invent more. I would like to, in fact, start making those obsolete now. एक device को कम करना चाहती हूँ.
Good one. And that was great rapid fire. We got to know other side of Dr. Aarati. And with that, let's flip back to the mainstream. And here comes my next question. What will be one key takeaway or a piece of advice that you would like our audience to remember from our conversation today? See, I think people should start living in present, first thing. We think too much about the past, or we think too much about the future. Having dreams and setting goals is really, really important. But not that you go and live in your past. Live in what you have. Use what you have right now currently. Think about others almost all the times. And I'm not saying this to sound like a religious or spiritual person. Absolutely no. But I know one thing, that if a car stops and you have to push the car ahead, along with the car, you also get pushed ahead. So always have to think about others. I'm not saying think about others before yourself. That is very difficult to do. But please at least think about what your actions can have an effect on the others. Always give back something to the society. I say this very often. A man can never be self-made. There's nothing like a self-made man. A greater part of what you are today has to be credited to the society. The society has always, unknowingly, knowingly, the universe has always helped you. I don't know if you believe in telepathy or something. They said the universe is listening. So many times when I'm short of funds for something or short of help, automatically from somewhere someone just comes in and says, okay, let me help you. So somebody listens to you. It's not that you have done it all by yourself. So never that ego about I am what I am today because of me. No, it cannot be. So always give back to the society. You can never be self-made. The universe has a lot more to contribute in who you are today. Always remain grounded. Even tomorrow I become the chairperson of the biggest multinational company, I should always have my feet on the ground. It's very easy to get carried away when you become famous. And I've gone through it. I was not famous, but one award I got at a national level, and I started thinking really high of myself. And then I realized, no, nobody even recognizes you. When you go to the airport, nobody even turns and says, oh, you are the person who has 10,000 followers. No, they don't care. Always remain grounded. So when you die, people should not say that, oh, she was the person who had a Mercedes. No, she was the person who was very simple. Even though she had a Mercedes, she was the one who was very simple. So that is how people should remember you. And there should be no place for any type of ego, any type of materialistic possessions. So tomorrow I have a nice, beautiful house. People call it a palace. So tomorrow someone says you have to walk out of this house for some reason. I hope it doesn't happen. I should happily be able to move out. I should not cry and say, oh, materialistic desires. I cannot live without this house. I cannot live without. So I've heard these Gen Z kids say, iPhone 14, I cannot live without an Apple.
Why can't you? We have lived without phone all our lives. Don't get too attached to materialistic things, I feel, because one day it is all going to get over. We are also going to get over. When you leave back something that people should remember, that
And
she is the one
cherish.
who's to clean kachra. She was the one who's to always tell, don't wash the car with a pipe. Because
Yeah.
I look at life as a drama. I'm here to play my role. Once my role is over, I'm out. Somebody
Yeah.
else comes. When I'm back into when I have to come back, God will get me back. So we know that it's a game, it's a play. Why
Yeah.
not play it to our best capacity? Why be the villain? Why not try to be the hero of the movie? Is what I feel.
Super. Fantastic thoughts as always, and it has been a captivating conversation. And before I let you go, what's your experience being hosted on the Guiding Voice?
Any place where I can share a piece of my mind, because nobody invites you and say, please speak and we'll listen. So any place, any podcast, anywhere where people say that we want to listen to you, I will give out my best. And it has always been a great experience because nobody has the time to actually listen to your thoughts, however good they are.
Yeah.
Unless you become a very famous person and then you become a motivational speaker, nobody likes to listen to you. But being invited on a on a platform and having heard me for more than 40-45 minutes, it's always great. So, and if even one person listening to this takes away one thing of what I have told, then it's another success story for me.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm sure it is going to create some chain effect as well as maybe people will get into paid forward mode, wherein by spreading the word of mouth message about protecting the environment and doing our bit in terms of conserving water and so on. But please continue whatever you have been doing. It's amazing work, and definitely we are going to start seeing the huge impact out of what you are doing. And thank you so much.
Tatastu. Thank you.
Really appreciate you being part of our journey, and thank you so much, Aarti. So,
Thank you.
folks, that was our episode with Dr. Aarati Bhandare. And before we move into the trivia section, here is a request to you. Please subscribe to us in case if you haven't done already from wherever you have joined this episode from. Also, if you have loved this conversation and found it useful, request you to share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues who can benefit from the guiding voice. Thank you so much in advance. Now, let's cruise into the trivia segment of today's episode. Dr. Aarti has shared a lot of alternatives related to some everyday items which can actually contribute to protecting the Mother Earth. I would like to extend a few facts and few tips related to how we can save water. And here are a few quick tips to save water. First and foremost thing is we need to fix leaks. Check for leaks in the faucets, toilets, and pipes and fix them as soon as possible, because even a small drip can waste a significant amount of water over time. It sounds as if the water is leaking drop by drop, but if you count, by end of the day it might fill a bucket and beyond. And most importantly, turn off the tap while brushing your teeth or shaving, and taking shorter showers. This can also save gallons or liters of water per day. And use a low flow toilet and a shower head, which can be easily done by installing low flow fixtures in your bathroom and kitchen to save water. And also use a dishwasher and washing machine efficiently. Use your appliances like dishwasher and washing machine only when you have a full load to save water and also energy. And next tip is use a broom instead of a hose. Use a broom to clean outdoor surfaces like driveways and patios instead of using a hose. And also, it is better to water the plants in the early morning or late evening, because watering plants during the hottest part of the day can lead to water loss through evaporation. And water your plants in the early morning or late evening can save some amount of water. And last but not the least, collect the rainwater. Install a rain barrel to collect rainwater that can be used to water plants or wash your car. And my humble request is, if possible, build a rainwater harvesting pit. And nowadays, governments in various countries are providing some subsidies and economic support in terms of building rainwater harvesting pit. So go ahead and construct one if you are living in an independent house or a villa. And likewise, I'm sure you must be having so many tips related to saving water and saving Mother Earth. I would be interested to hear from you what are the tips that you are already following or what you are aware of, and looking forward to your comments. That's all for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Please share your topic recommendations and also guest speaker suggestions through social media or email me at theguidingvoiceforyou@gmail.com. I'm your host Navin Savala, a fellow professional and a passionate learner on a mission to make the world a better place to live through conversations that matter and conversations that add value to your life and to your career. Until next time, bye bye. See you all in the next episode with another wonderful guest. Take care. Be safe, guys.